Does the GOAT status only encompass the playing of the sport, or overall everything you do outside the sport?
That is a wonderful question. I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. That actually is a wonderful question, AD, because I do break it down two parts in two ways.
Right.
On the court, there is it. On the court, I put it bluntly.
Right.
The candidacy for LeBron James to be the greatest basketball player of all time ended on June the 12th, 2011.
Wow.
It ended on that date. So when you talk about on the court,
right,
it's like Charlie Brown's teacher. When people say, well, LeBron's the GOAT. No. It's been dead. The tombstone's already in the gravesite and has been so for 9 years.
Hey, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Brothers Who Talk.
Season 3.
And you got season 3.
Season 3.
Man, where did the time be going?
Man, fast.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. We have an excellent guest for you tonight.
Yes.
And I think you're going to enjoy him. Yes. I think you're going to enjoy him, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But in the meantime, between time.
Welcome to another episode of the Brothers Who Talk with Terry and AD. This podcast is about men talking about everyday shenanigans, the stuff that makes us mad, to the topics that concern why in the world do these guys have a podcast. Let's get to it.
And we're back.
Yes, indeed.
Intro. What's up? Okay. All right. So it's been an interesting week, AD. We're going to get into our podcast here in our topic. Right. But before we get into it, I'm going to kind of go ahead and introduce the man of the half hour, because
the greatest,
the man of the half hour, because I wanted him to be involved in our Tell Why You're Mad section. So I am going to introduce this young man. I don't know how young he is. I'm just saying that.
Young enough.
But me and Cole, our guest of the hour is Cole Johnson. Yes. And we have been rocking since January. I met Cole, happenstance. We jumped on when we first started Brothers Who Talk. We got on a radio station, Maha Radio, and the CEO, or wherever she is, mentioned Cole by name to me. Nice. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we kind of met and videoed and all that. And very interesting. Very interesting. He is a man of many talents, and his knowledge base is crazy. Like, when you guys get to talking to him, when I bring him on here, he gets to talking, you can be like, should be a history professor somewhere.
Right. Always in the comments of Brother Legacy hitting us with words. Giving us the word of the day. He got the real word of the day.
We had to bring that thing back.
Right.
Cool. But so we're gonna go ahead and bring him on. So we want to welcome and introduce to some others, to others.
Yes.
Cole Johnson, who is the founder of Cole Sports on YouTube. So if you don't follow Cole Sports on YouTube, I don't know what you are doing with your life. I need you to contemplate life too for 2.5 seconds and go there to YouTube. Subscribe to that. All right. So welcome up. What's up, Coley? Cole? What's going on?
How you doing, Guru? It's hard for me to actually say Guru without saying Terry. And Davey, what's up, fellas?
That's because you know Terry. A lot of people don't know Terry. But so we have a couple of sections that we do before we get started here. And one of those is, and I normally start with AD, but on today I'm going to start with you because you're the man of the half hour. Okay. How was your week?
Yes.
My week has gone good. It's gone well. I mean, of course, you have all these shenanigans that pop up, that's popping off. And of course, we're less than 3 weeks from the 2020 presidential election. So of course, there's a whole lot of stuff. And I mean, you can just mention anything from Ice Cube to how the president wants to infect his family with COVID. I mean, there's so many different things you could talk about. And then, of course, in the world of sports, you have college football that they fought for. We need to go, and now we're seeing team after team catch COVID there, along with the NFL. So
yeah,
all of that stuff is hilarious. But to me, man, my life cannot go any better. I am blessed, highly favored. Thank you, Lord, and I am happy.
Amen. AD, man, how was your week, bro? Uh-oh.
We're going to start a new segment in the show called The Chronicles of AJ.
Oh no.
It's my son. It's gonna be a new show.
Man, we definitely have that.
Wow.
It's like
AJ
is getting after shenanigan. Yeah, we're not gonna get into specifics. I just he's testing my gangster.
And I always thought it would be Alexis, but I guess AJ said, nah,
AD has a gangster to him. Okay.
Yeah. They brought it out. It was like really, really dormant until they were born, and then they just I never yelled so much in my life until I had children. I just, I used to always have a calm voice, only be calm. But now, and I realized there's levels of yelling. There's like there's one level that something's annoying you. There's another level that you're not listening, and then there's another level like why did you even touch that? So yeah, it's just been an interesting week. But things are brightening and getting better. My daughter's birthday is this week, so I'm excited.
Nice.
I'm excited yet scared at the same time.
Scared.
Scared. She's growing. She's developing, and life is. I'm gonna have to kill some little boys.
Yeah, just keep the block.
Oh Lord, no Bad Boys 2 reference you're gonna do with Terry.
Listen, I don't always agree with things done in movies, but that was classic,
bro. Listen, I promise you, I was gonna call you up, and I was going to, because this is before COVID hit, though.
Right.
And I was gonna call you up and be like, "Listen, I'm coming to Georgia. I'm going to Georgia anyways, but I'm gonna knock on your door, and we're gonna do the whole Mike Lowry, Martin Lawrence bit, with Alexis."
Oh man, what up, sir? So how's your week been?
My week is different. In this car game, my gangster is tested daily in this car game because you got folks that come in and they have high demands, and they want us to drop cars $6,000-$7,000 off of MSRP because they said so, and then when you pull their credit, they got a 415. Like you can't, you ain't got no stroke, Even if you had an 850,
right,
you have some leeway,
right.
But you ain't finna come in on no 415. We can't even get you financed,
right.
And you want us to take $5,000 off a brand new vehicle off MSRP. Right. You smoking crack, anyways. But other than that, I mean, my week is normally, with family, work. I don't do a lot outside of that, and then with podcasting, of course, I started a new podcast, which I got to change the name to now. So I'm going to be doing that here in a little bit. That's a lot of work, bro. It's work. I'm going to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. That's how my week. Nothing really to talk about. However, the next section of this podcast, we like to call it "Tell Them Why You're Mad." For those of you who are ebonically sound, it's tell them with PM why you're mad. Right? So again, starting with I guess with the man of the half hour, Cole.
Yes.
Tell us and the good people who are listening.
Right. What's under your skin?
It all is about the mask. And
really?
Follow me for a second here.
Right.
It is a microcosm of how things are in society. It's if you don it, you belong to one political party. If you don't, you belong to the opposite one.
Right.
And I never thought that I would ever get to a point in my life where public safety, would be a political issue. I'm thinking, you're supposed to protect the people. Why is it that if you don this thing, you are a blue person. If you don't, you're a red person. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
And so just seeing the ridiculousness go on month after month after month, of course, it's getting ratcheting up before we get to November 3rd. It just grinds my gears. And I just shake my head at the utter stupidity of how all of this is just breaking down and shaking down.
Right.
It's really crazy. I agree with you. It's totally crazy. Now, when it comes to the mask, be it that we live in different parts of the country. Cole, where you at?
I am a few miles east of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, he's in Tennessee. That's right. Tennessee. AD, of course, is in Georgia, and I'm in Idaho. So if anybody who has not listened to this show one episode and don't know where I'm at, good Lord, you ain't been listening. But Idaho is where. So here in Idaho, there are people that wear a mask, but there's no political affiliation to it out here. Okay. But and that's because everybody here this is a blue state. No, which Republican?
Republicans red
state. Right. So Idaho is the 95% red. This is a red state, and so the people that I see in masks out here are older people and really young people because they don't want them to catch it. So yeah, out here is different. Now I can imagine that in other parts of the country, it's different. Like down in Georgia, I'm sure. Because they're more densely populated than Tennessee, where you are, is populated. So yeah, I totally feel that it shouldn't be politicized. Stop it. The corona cases are rising across the country,
and it's starting to rise again.
Yes, definitely.
And it's going to get wintertime, so flu season right around the corner.
Right.
So this is really getting serious. So people if you're listening, come on, man, wear your mask.
Right.
If you're immune compromised like I am. That's why I don't go nowhere. It's homework. I don't go anywhere. And wear your mask. Wear your mask, not just for you, for everybody else.
Right.
AD?
I think craziness.
Well, that's it, right? No, what you talking about? Tell them why you're mad.
We tell them why you're mad.
We talking about Cole. Cole did Cole first. I'm sorry. AD? You talking about AJ though, right? So you mad at AJ?
Oh, my. Yeah, I think that's That's I tell them why you're mad today.
I'm gonna tell you what I've heard this week that's made me mad.
What's up?
Okay? Now, of course, guys, they are now confirming, or they're in the confirmation hearings for our SCOTUS.
Yes,
the latest one. Yes,
and Miss Barrett Coney or Comatose or whatever her name is. I don't really know what it means. But I was reading a thing the other day where she said,
"Oh my gosh,
that the word that the use of the N-word in the workplace did not make it hostile." Did y'all guys hear about that?
I didn't get that.
Oh my!
It's like, okay, lady, I don't know what is really going on, but I guess
nice. Hostile, nice.
How?
Talk about testing someone's gangster.
Right. Come in. Like, try me, ho. That's kind of what is the SpongeBob. But yeah, she said that in her confirmation hearings, that the use of the N-word in the workplace was not hostile. Also, there's another thing that made me mad was when she was doing her introduction. She has like 5 children. 2 of them are hers, 3 of them are adopted, and 3 of those kids that are adopted are of color, and they're from Haiti. And so when she was talking about her family, when she's about her kids, she gave the kids, their goals and their dreams and this and that. But when she described her adoptive children, didn't mention it once.
Wow.
Didn't mention anything about their goals and their dreams.
Right.
With these kids. And so that made me mad. I was like, wait a minute. So she's saying a lot.
Right.
In that. I wish I had the video. I should have ran it. But her kids, she gloated about her babies.
Wow. But
the adopted babies, you know what I'm saying? She was like, yeah, Willie came from Haiti right after the earthquake.
Wow.
Okay, what about his goals and dreams?
Yeah, that's all that matters.
So treat them like charity cases.
Right.
Right. If that's the case, see, that's what racists do. I'm just going to be, if I can be frank.
Right.
They are to save face and let people know I'm not racist. I got the 3 kids.
Right.
But you don't really care because you would have gloated about those babies just like you did your biological baby.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? So
like your kids, your kids, all of them, your kids.
So Miss Comatose, or whatever your name is.
Yes, Amy Coney Barrett.
That's it. Coney Barrett. You are on my list. You have told. I'm telling you the people why I'm mad at you. Right. So
Comatose.
I don't know that lady's name. I don't know her name. I'll tell you what. So
why is Terry going black auntie with names? That's too funny.
I'm making up names. That's what you do.
Well, what do you want me to do? I don't know. Check it out though. Check it out. So in between time, there is a great brotherhood that I'm attached to here at the Brothers Who Talk. Not just me and AD, but we have another group called the Brothers of Legacy who sponsors and comes through every single morning and comments. We really appreciate you about that. But if you're listening, because I think we are going to kind of mesh together here before too long. So we are doing some major things. AD is running some major things over there in Georgia. And once COVID lifts, he's going to be able to go back out into the community and do some things. So in the meantime, while he's doing that, look, this stuff is, it takes charitable donations and it takes support outside of that. So take a look at this just for a second.
Listen, I want to thank you for being a part of the Brothers of Legacy. Those brothers that are connecting and commenting during our broadcast, sharing and joining our groups, as well as those that are supporters, the ladies that have our back and constantly cheering us forward. Listen, we are in the process of expanding into local areas, right? We are in the process of expanding our reach and encouraging more men to volunteer, to be a part of their community, and to not only stand out, but to stand up. So today, I want to encourage you to do a one-time seed or a monthly seed into the Brothers of Legacy. Now, what will that do? That will cover administrative costs as well as reach other brothers and meet people at their need. So to do so, we need that financial support, as well as if you are a brother or if you know someone that would like to be a part of this movement, please connect them with us. Listen, we are ever expanding, we are ever growing, we are doing great works, we are changing the narrative. We are changing the narrative. So this is your opportunity to be a part of that legacy. Our legacy is about the building blocks we start today. Our legacy is about the building blocks we start today. So this is an opportunity for you to seed into Brothers of Legacy, make a difference. Your difference starts now, and it'll affect now going into tomorrow. So we appreciate you. We thank you. And I thank you for all the supporters that's already given. And for those that desire to give, this is your opportunity. And I'm thanking you in advance. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. And I'll see you later. Take care.
I'm going to assume Cole liked the whole thing.
Yes.
But welcome back, you guys. And so those of you who are audio only, what you just heard was a video that ran, a video ad that Eddie's on. But if you would like to, if you can still hear what he said, right. And if you'd like to give and support the Brothers of Legacy, it is you can Cash App it at the Cash App. BOL 2019 if you want to give to that. BOL 2019 if you'd like to give and support the Brothers of Legacy. We're doing some major things. Once COVID lifts, man, it might be next year. Right. I mean, wait, COVID going, but we're still gonna get it done.
I have to accept the fact that there will never be life without COVID.
Yeah. I think
it's going to be like a rock. We just got to work around it. We got to work around it.
Yeah, I think once they come up with a vaccine, I think life will go back to semi-normal before COVID hit. You know what I'm saying? But because people won't be as afraid and
right.
because of the vaccine. Now, getting into the topic of our podcast on today,
Yes.
there is a lot of talk about the whole GOAT conversation. If those guys who are living under a rock and don't know what we're talking about, LeBron James just won his 4th NBA title on his 3rd team. And so a lot of LeBron haters are going, give this man his respect. And then you have other folks who are really sports nuts will tell you to tell LeBron to kick rocks.
Podcast listeners, Cole Johnson is shaking his head.
He's got something to say. So the topic of the day, because Cole has I'm telling y'all, he has his own podcast. I'm telling you, go check it out. He has a unique perspective. I got those perspectives get me in trouble. But he has a unique perspective. We're going to get into it. So we're going to talk about LBJ and MJ to talk about the GOAT, and we're going to talk about the future of sports.
Right.
We're going to get into that. So without further ado, Mr. Cole, what do you think about the LBJ, MJ talk? The GOAT talk. What do you think?
You know, this thing has fueled barbershop talk for the last 17 years. And ever since we saw him play late October of 2003, everybody said, now this guy is going to replace Jordan. And I'm like, wait a minute, he only played a game. One game, and you're already replacing the guy?
Right.
The talk has been that ridiculous for the intervening 17 years. So my overarching opinion of this is really simple. LeBron James is wonderful. He's a great basketball player.
Right.
He does a lot of things. He does a lot of things well.
Right.
However, I have seen better. Jordan is one of those players, and I don't even think LeBron is even one of the greatest in terms of 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Ooh, that's bold, bro.
Yeah. All right.
So when it comes to LeBron James, he's a great basketball player. He's a phenomenal athlete. Now, I will say this. He has athleticism that is over Jordan, because to me, I think LeBron has athleticism over any other basketball player that's ever suited up and put on sneakers.
Okay.
But in terms of just overall skill of the sport, seen better, and it's that for me. It's basically what Stephen A. Smith surmised about a week ago,
when
he said, "Until they throw dirt in my face, I will never utter the words LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan."
Wow.
Period.
Point blank. Get it out of here.
Okay, so basketball wise, Jordan's got that.
Yeah. Yes. He has it on lock. Yes.
Wow.
So they always let me just as context for everyone listening. I am not a sports person. I am not deep into sports. I don't follow any team. I know of these players because you can't even be above ground living without knowing who Jordan is, not knowing who LeBron is. But I will say this. Listen, hold on before you say something.
No, go ahead.
I always see people throwing up stats. They throw up stats.
Right.
Always comparing the stats to stats. And when it comes to that, does that not go into a great player or a GOAT status player? Because I know the GOAT definition kind of depends a lot on timing, your greatness over others and things of that nature.
It does. And I prepared for you, Mr. Walker, because I remember you saying that you're not a sports fan. So I will do it this way.
All right.
LeBron James is Louis Farrakhan.
Okay.
Michael Jordan is Malcolm X.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
In a nutshell. He got it. I mean, listen,
that is gonna be you just solidified my intro. We do a piece of the conversation right there. Wow. Wow. So, go ahead, Terry.
One thing you can't deny with LBJ is his basketball IQ. He has a great basketball IQ. The guy is the genius on the court. He's teaching other teams their scheme. They're running the scheme. Like, how you do that? But MJ was the epitome of all of that. And he competitive, will fight you, fought his own teammates. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so Jordan was just that guy. So since he won his championship, so many things have been said. So many people have had an opinion. And I was reading something about Colin Cowherd, who is the host of The Herd. And what did he say? Oh man, I lost my train of thought. But he had a very interesting take on it.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was. I had to pull it up and see. But everybody, and of course, we all know that Shannon Sharp, the president and CEO of Club Shay Shay, is a diehard LeBron.
Mr. Grab That Hand.
Yeah, grab that hand and a cigar on set. Like
on set and on site, yes.
Wow.
So it's crazy. So I put up a meme last night, or I put up a post. And the post said, I don't know if you've seen it, Cole, but it said, we used to celebrate three-peats. And it's a picture of Mike and Kobe. And now we got kids running around here winning four championships in 10 tries, and we call that greatness. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree, because that plays into why I say that I've really seen better, because there's athletes that have pulled off three-peats.
Yeah.
And that has to stand for something.
Gotcha.
And yes, I know LeBron came close to pulling off a three-peat, because he did win in 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he couldn't get the job done in 2014, and then he got outplayed by a sixth man in 2011. I'm sorry, Anthony. I'm sorry, AD. When an elite player gets outplayed by a sixth man, just think of Donald Trump being schooled by a sixth grader.
Okay. Like that.
Yeah.
Or better yet, Cat Williams getting beat up by that.
Kid. Yeah. There you go. Cat Williams getting beat up by a 15-year-old. Perfect.
Shout out to Cat Williams.
And I think the comment, I think the comment that you're looking for, Terry, is Colin said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing, but I'll do it the way I do it on Cold Sports. Quote. Michael Jordan needed Scottie Pippen to win his 6 chips.
Okay.
All LeBron needed was a basketball.
Oh yeah.
Close quote.
I like that. Who else I use that? That's good.
And to that I have one word to say, but since the Lord has taken my tongue, I can't utter that word right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Yeah, that reminds. Yeah, that's what.
Okay, so if I'm so Michael Jordan had Pippen, right?
Yes.
So this argument. So some of my argument was formed from other people, because I drive Lyft sometimes, and someone started the conversation. So I asked a lot of people of the right age about the GOAT status and stuff like that. One kid was explaining to me how LeBron, or one guy, not like kid, but he was a little younger, but how LeBron came into teams that weren't up to par, and he carried them to the championship.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
That's kind of what Colin Cowherd was talking about. He said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that LeBron was the most foundation. He was the greatest foundational piece,
right,
in the NBA, that he can go anywhere and win a championship. That he did say that.
Right. Is that?
And I was like,
because to me that would put you like up there with that GOAT. Like your application is in.
No, he's not even in conversation.
Here's where they get shot down.
All right.
When LeBron signed with the Lakers last year,
yes,
they had an okay start to their season. They were actually the number 4 seed, and there's 8 teams that get into playoffs every year from each conference.
Right.
So with his team, the Lakers, they were the number 4 seed. So they were in good prime position.
Right.
And this was around January of last year.
Right.
Then they started to not do so well. Then he got injured.
Gotcha.
Then the tailspin began. So the Lakers basically went from 4th to 10th, I think.
Okay.
Right around the All-Star break. And All-Star break is around mid-February. So LeBron, seeing this, decides to come back. And late February, they play against the Rockets. They win. And all of a sudden, LeBron announces to the world, quote, I have activated playoff mode.
Wow.
Close quote. They went 2-8 the next 10 games.
Yeah.
So to me, that does not speak a foundational piece because LeBron did not have another superstar at his side.
Okay.
Unlike when he went to the Heat, when they were called the Heatles, he had Chris Bosh, who was the prime player for the Raptors, and Dwayne Wade, who of course was the prime player for the Heat.
Gotcha.
They win 2 chips and 4 tries there. He goes back to Cleveland. There is a piece that would have been a foundational superstar in Kyrie Irving already there. Okay. Then they get the number 1 player from Minnesota, Kevin Love. They win a championship in 2016, but fail in 2015, 17, and 18. So then after 2019's debacle,
I got you.
They searched high, low, and far. They wanted Kawhi Leonard. They didn't get him, so they landed Anthony Davis, who was a guy who was the number 1 player for the Pelicans. He now is in his prime as of this year. Right. And then all of a sudden, LeBron's great again, and he wins a chip.
Okay.
You need to have other players to be great.
Yeah.
And for people to think that LeBron James does it by himself is ridiculous. And that is what fuels me in the ridiculous. I'm going to say this as clean as I possibly can. The ridiculous getting on the knees and just genuflecting to this man in terms of the fact that he is the greatest to ever touch a basketball court.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's not happening. No, sir.
Not gonna
no,
happen.
Sir.
You know, but wouldn't that defunct the ideology that debunk? Yeah. Wouldn't it, my words are kind of basic in comparison to yours, but yeah. But you know what I mean. Wouldn't it debunk the whole comment that Mike needed Pippen and all of that jazz? It's the same thing. When he went to Miami, he had Bosh and Wade. Right. Then he went to Cleveland. He had Kyrie and Kevin. Mm-hmm. And then he went to AD. He went back to LA. He's got AD and those other players. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, like you said, you need help to win these championships. He knew about himself. He didn't step on no basketball cup.
No,
he great and all that. But see, for me, with LeBron can miss me. And then where's the great Pastor Brian McCoy?
Love the pastor.
But and shout out to Brian. When you stop walking off the court at the end of a game because you're losing, when you stop doing that, then we can have a conversation.
Wow.
When your shoes stop being $200, no, that's George's shoes.
Oh no, we could continue that when you can have 30 athletes actually wear your shoes and you not even playing.
Like, come on, you got people. You got 30 people wearing your shoes right now. Ain't even playing. Ain't played in years.
So would you? Okay, so this is my second part of the question because another conversation I had. Does the GOAT status only encompass the playing of the sport, or overall everything you do outside the sport?
That is a wonderful question. I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
That actually is a wonderful question, AD, because I do break it down 2 parts in 2 ways.
Right.
On the court, there is it. On the court, I put it bluntly.
Right.
The candidacy for LeBron James to be the greatest basketball player of all time ended on June the 12th, 2011.
Wow.
It ended on that date. So when you talk about on the court,
right,
it's like Charlie Brown's teacher. When people say, well, LeBron's the GOAT. No. It's been dead. The tombstone's already in the gravesite and has been so for 9 years. Yeah. No. Now, off the court,
yes,
that is where I believe people will have a differing opinion about LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. Because I've actually said, and I'll say it here, I've said on my show, I've said on other shows, as man to man, I like LeBron more than I do Jordan.
Right.
Now I relate to Jordan a little more, but I like LeBron as a man more than I do Jordan. In part because of how he has been to the community.
Right.
In part because he is more outward in expressing social justice issues.
Yes.
And also in part because you get the understanding that this man, even though he is economically solvent and he has a business mind and he surrounds himself with business people, he doesn't have the quote Republicans buy my shoes too close quote mentality that Jordan has.
Right.
So he's not totally commercial and all about the money. However, he's about to get that bag and he's going to get that bag. And so along with the fact that Jordan already is a billionaire, I'm sorry.
Right.
LeBron is on his way there. I think his net worth is like 600 million.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you combine that with the fact that LeBron basically is leaps and bounds ahead of Michael Jordan when it comes to social justice in many people's eyes.
Yes.
People are going to say that he's the GOAT for that reason.
Right. And that was the argument. That's what he kind of threw in there. He was like, that's why I feel like he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
I told him, the one thing I would say, well, the fortunate thing, of course, Michael Jordan is still alive. So he could have got into the fight now. I did say back in the 90s, I defended him because, any off-speak would have just pretty much tanked his career. Like if he would have stuck his neck out there, we wouldn't be wearing Jordans right now. I mean, because there was no social media, to get some social crackers. Now, if Jordan just started now and was the bomb and had them sneakers and he spoke out and they try to take away his deals, he would have just had Reebok sneakers. Like he would have had a deal, like some obscure sneaker company would have signed him and they would have blow up G.O.A.T. So, social media has now given you an opportunity to really speak out. And if corporate doesn't like it, the people will speak up with their dollars to help you push the message forward. So I think now, honestly, it's a little easier to go rogue than it was back then. Because it's like, if I go rogue, none of y'all gonna pay my bills.
Well, to your point, and I actually in this particular episode's morning's Brothers of Legacy episode, I actually quoted Charles Barkley saying, "I'm not a role model."
Right.
And that was said back in 1993,
right,
when he did a commercial for, I think it was for Nike.
It was Nike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and people got all on him for saying that.
Right.
But he's absolutely right, though.
Right.
But to your point, though, AD.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because he would have lost his platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, from what I remember about Michael Jordan and his political protests, the only thing I remember him ever protesting was the fact that he couldn't wear his red and black shoes. his first version of Air Jordan.
Yeah.
They were called Band.
Right.
They were red and black. They didn't have any white in them.
Well, that's correct.
And every time he wore those shoes on the court, he got fined. And he talked about he talked about that, and but that's it as far as his stance. Right. So for that, Michael gets the bronze star, as it were. He doesn't get a gold one. So I wish he would have done more, but like you said, I'm with you, AD, as far as it's a different political and social climate now versus then, because had he said something, he would have been wearing felines. I'm telling you, those Reebok pumps, which was some pretty dope shoes, by the way.
That's the pump.
Or the Air Jordans would have been Adidas.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Adidas was fighting over that.
It's come up quick, especially back then.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, but we really should end. I mean, I really wish the GOAT talk would end, but I don't think it will. I think it'll be one of those things that's going to last for years and years and years. And then the next person you talk about is going to be Jay Morant out of Memphis, is going to be in the conversation before too long. If he ever wins a championship, or Luka down there in Dallas, or this will never ever end.
A new generation, next level. Yeah.
Here's what I want to ask you, Cole, before we switch to the future of sports here.
Right.
Okay.
I read a comment, and I want to see if you agree with that. They said the GOAT status is across all eras, right? In order to be considered the GOAT, you have to be it has to be across all eras. So the comment was saying Jordan was the GOAT of his era. LeBron is the GOAT in this era, and that's it. What do you think about that? Do you think? I think AD might have said another question before. It was kind of like that. But what do you feel? Do you think that the GOAT status is across all eras, or is it, was Mike the GOAT in the 80s and 90s, and now LeBron is the GOAT in this era? What do you think?
I personally think GOAT status is across all eras, and I say that because the game itself hasn't changed all that much. I mean, there's some tweaks here and there. There's rules changes that affect the play, but the court was 94 feet in 1947 when the game began. Here we are, almost 75 years later. The court is still 94 feet. You still have to shoot the 2 buckets. You still tip off at center court, and you still have 12 minutes per quarter. So, I mean, the game really hasn't changed all that much from the rudimentary understanding of it and the beginnings of it.
Right.
But I totally understand the certain eras have their certain stalwart players, the standouts. And I will even argue that, this era, LeBron James basketball wise hasn't dominated it. Now, in terms of media perception, yes, he has. But when you can say that you have someone who has almost as many rings as he has, in Stephon Curry, for example, and did for that decade, because, well, quite honestly, you might as well say that LeBron James's 4th ring came in the decade that we're living in now. It's really hard to say that guy ruled this era. I mean, and this actually falls in line with the Jordan versus LeBron GOAT status. Former NBA player Chauncey Billups had a wonderful line when he said something to the effect of, you had many different players who meaning you had many different players who in LeBron's watch has just gotten championship after championship. For the exception of Hakeem Olajuwon, you had nobody. When Jordan ruled, that ain't nobody.
Right. Well, that's you right. You know what? That right there though. That's a lot of people. It's like have on the slide complained about it. Like, yeah, we couldn't win nothing around that time. The poor Knicks. That was like their high time. The Knicks, that could have been the time they could have won, but unfortunately, Jordan was there.
Knicks had 2 great teams, and in successive years, they couldn't get past the Bulls. Yeah.
Right.
They got it locked down. But we're talking about, LeBron got 4 rings. Right. They're crowning him, the GOAT and whatnot. So if that's the case, if we're using that particular logic, we're forgetting about one player that also has 4 rings. And he's not even in the conversation. We're talking about Robert Horry. Remember Robert Horry? Horry was San Antonio.
Well, he has more than 4.
Exactly. But there's no talk about him being the GOAT. Get out of here with that. So,
and I laugh at that too. I do.
But he better not ever be in the conversation as a GOAT. But he still got more rings than LeBron. But anyways,
he does.
So what do you? Okay, so moving past the GOAT status. Oh wait, my last question is: so why June 2011? I think I know this
question because I don't remember that date.
Okay, June 12, 2011. So the Heat played the Mavericks in that year's finals.
Okay, yeah.
And the Heat were up 2-1, and the Mavericks, who had a spectacular run that season, came back and they just clobbered the Heat the rest of the way.
It was terrible.
Well, LeBron in games 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the money quarter, the 4th quarter, or let me see if I can put it in the way AD can understand it. When all the chips are on the table as a poker player.
I got you.
He with it.
You're so silly.
LeBron scored 2 points in each of those 4th quarters. And then on top of that, not only did he shrink in the biggest moments of the last 4 games of that series, He was outplayed not just by the opposing best player on the team, which was Dirk Nowitzki. Well, Dirk outplayed everybody in that year's playoffs.
Yeah.
But LeBron James was outplayed by Jason Terry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Outplayed. In fact, LeBron averaged 17. I think it was 17 and a half points. Terry averaged 18 in that series.
Yeah.
So to me, you can't be the greatest of all time and you're outplayed by an opponent's sixth man.
Yeah, I got you. I agree with that. All right. So listen.
I did.
All right, then.
So with the way basketball is going and COVID and everything, and with the screens up, what do you see the future of basketball? Do you see this being as the norm? The arena's changing, or we're going back to a kind of a normal?
I think people are going to try. I think players are going to probably lean on the owners to see if it could be business as usual still.
Okay.
I really feel that way, and the reason why I say that is you have it's really quiet. You're having a power struggle,
right?
That's going on in the NBA between the players themselves and the owners, governors. Sorry, but each are trying to assert themselves as to be the bigger power broker, in how the game moves.
Gotcha.
So I think you will have a push for the players to say, yeah, we want business as usual, but we want you to make sure that there are protocols in place for us to not contract COVID.
Gotcha.
We saw how it was in the bubble. We want to have that same thing, but with fans in the arena. I see the players saying that. I see the owners also saying, okay, I agree with you on that, but you know that Black Lives Matter stuff that's on the court, we can't have that. You know that in racism stuff you see the NFL have on each end zones, we can't have that.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, we can have that, but we're going to have to pull back on the social justice talk.
Wow.
We can't be so outwardly with it because we got to promote a game that is embracing everybody.
Right.
So the immediate future of the NBA, that is what we're going to see. Now, in terms of the long-term future, we may see another lockout coming within the decade.
Wow.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with Cole. I think that it's with COVID and everything. I think it's changed the course. But I mean, if you think about, the short seasons with the NBA, well, actually they had a full season. They just kind of cut it in half. And you got baseball, who did a half a season, and did they have limited attendance in baseball, or was it just
it was a shortened season, and then they decided to have an expanded playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Watch them Tampa Bay Rays, man. They're doing some things down there in Tampa Bay. Them boys like up. There was last time I looked, they were 3 up in the ALCS.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, they scary. They beat the Stros 3 up on the guys. Anyway,
yeah.
But I think it's going to be just like the NFL. The NFL has limited attendance.
Right.
I think that next year, if there is no vaccine for COVID, I think they're going to want to have the same type of deal. They're going to want, because they're missing out on a lot of money, even though they went down and the NBA went down to the bubble and it did all that.
Right.
I mean, but there's some money being missed. Somebody's pockets are hurting, behind all of this. I think it's going to be like that.
I think the owners and the NFL aren't missing as much. I know the vendors are hurting.
The vendors are really hurting. Yeah,
the vendors are hurting. The people, I think the people under that count on the crowd, they're the ones
vendors. The buildings definitely are hurting. Yes,
but but as far as the owners, I think they're still getting their pay because they're still having games. I think that the industry, the NFL, NBA, they're still getting paid because they're on TV. I think things are just shifting. It's just an unfortunate that all the ones that were able to get just from the crowds, they're the ones that's going to be cut the worst, which is hard. But it's an unfortunate of the COVID and just the shift in how we're going to be doing a lot of things. So yeah, I think that's the toughest part I feel with this.
Well, you know how it goes.
So
poop rolls downhill, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It does all day. So like you said, the owners are getting paid. Those vendors are the ones.
Yeah.
Are getting hurt. And it's a sad situation.
And then you have the cities who,
oh man,
they don't really
come out, right?
Yeah, they don't realize, and I think they didn't until this year realize how much of an economic boost it is to have basketball games or football games or baseball games wherever they play.
Right.
Now they don't have that, like you said, AD. They don't have that potential for extra revenue to be poured into the city, because it's barely fans that's coming to the games. Right. So I can actually see the city's push for bigger attendances just for that reason alone.
Right.
If you look at small market teams like Oklahoma City, you got Phoenix is a small market, I think.
Right.
They're really just dying out there, because they're not getting that extra income.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here, though, I want to say shout out to Nick Saban, the Alabama head coach, who decided that he wanted to get. We just found positive for COVID, so I wonder what's going to happen with the Alabama football team now that he has now tested positive. And that stuff's kind of scary, when your head coach comes down with COVID and you teach a kid, like, wait,
right.
But college football is back, limited attendance, right? So with college football, do you freeze?
I think he. Oh no, he didn't freeze. I thought.
No.
I think you breathing, brother. Okay. Well,
you're having the Big Ten come back now, actually, and they're starting back up playing in a few days. Okay. And the Pac-12, I think, will be coming right behind them. It's, even though the first month went pretty well for NCAA football, it's still a mess, because not only do you have Saban coming down with COVID, but you had the Kansas head coach Les Miles, who came down with COVID. Right. You had a game between Vanderbilt and Missouri, which was supposed to be played Saturday, canceled because there's not enough scholarships to go around with. I think it was Vanderbilt's players that they won't be able to field enough players for that game. And then you have the LSU Florida game, which is supposed to be played Saturday. That's in doubt because Florida has just been hit with a whole ton of COVID positives.
Yeah.
And LSU knows how bad it is, because early in the summer, they had a third of their players come down with COVID at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing is, this rush to get to life back to normal. And here's another thing. Well, I said earlier about the mask, football, similar. To not play football, you're considered Democrat. To play, you're considered Republican. It's that type of thing still.
Yeah.
And this rush and this hunger to get back to life is normal. There's a price to be paid for that. And I think people don't realize that, because you have, especially in places like the NFL, the NCAA, they want the money.
Right.
They're all about that OJ song. Money, 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 money. Money. They're all about that.
Right.
What I think? We're going to say this, and I'm going to get on out of here. But I think with people that don't wear masks, they don't want to wear masks because they breath stink. They know it.
Oh.
Maybe
they're like, I don't want that smoke. Not today.
Literally.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you.
Yes,
Let me do a shout out to our guest, man. Cole Johnson on today, man. We appreciate you, man. We thank you for all your support, being here today. The Brothers of Legacy.
Yes.
Just as much as what we mean to you, you mean the same thing to us. So we appreciate you for being here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So we're going to get down until next week, man. Y'all gonna have a blessed one, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Brothers Who Talk. Brothers Who Talk with Terry and AD. Check us out again next week, where we bring you a steaming helping of common sense, laughs, and advice. We can be found on any podcasting platform, iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We're also on milehighradio.com, Saturdays at 12 Eastern. See you there.